So, good evening, everyone. So, welcome to today's class. So, we'll be looking at um, dashboard design. Most of us, while designing, like we have issues when it comes to dashboard and the likes of it. So first of all, I know we know what dashboard is or what a dashboard is, being a visual display for most important information. Okay, so we can think of a dashboard to be a control panel of a car, right? So your fuel, speed, and engine status are all there, right? So that is what we is known as the dashboard. So dashboard, we can use the dashboard in digital products like sales analytics, user activities, KPIs, that is key performance indicators, and progress tracking, system performance, etc. Okay. So first of all, before venturing into designing a dashboard, the question you should always ask yourself is, what are the user goals? So you could say, what are users trying to achieve with this dashboard, or what is it tracking? What is the dashboard monitoring, and what performance is it comparing? Or even while designing it, you could think of these questions, and also um, using hierarchy. Okay, so the most important data should always be at the top left, where the high first land. Users first see the top left of a, an application, be it a website or whatsoever. So it's always the top left that users see first. And also keep it simple and focused anytime you're designing a dashboard. All right. Also, use visualization wisely. Okay, so that is where you use make use of charts, graphs, and bar lines, etc. Okay, and also group related data, uh use card or panels when you are doing this, and also enable customization if possible. All right. So this is if you want users to actually customize their dashboard, this is an advanced when you are designing for an advanced project or product. All right. And also be consistent with your colors and icons, and use white space generously. So things you should not do. No. I'm not sharing. I'm not moving the slide. Okay. So things you should not do is don't overload with too much data, and also don't use too many charts type. Most of us will make that mistake. While designing, we like to use pie, we like to use table charts, whatever charts, like every chart we see, we would like to use. So when designing, maintain 2 to 3 charts. All right, maintain 2 to 3 different charts type. And also don't ignore mobile responsiveness when designing. Most of us, we just design dashboard and then leave it for developers to come up with their responsiveness, which um is usually hard for them because they can't really know where to place elements. And also when designing for web, think of mobile think mobile first. What I mean that how would it show on your mobile when doing the mobile responsive? That is also going to aid you when designing for this. And don't use vouch label. So all your headings and your axis labels has to be clear. All right, and also don't use inconsistent dates or time format or unit. And and finally, always test it with the real users. All right, so what are the key elements of a dashboard? We always have header slash navigation bar. We have key metrics, and that is KPIs. Top role for performance indicator, total scores, total sales, new users, etc. Then we also have what we call data visualization. which has to do with charts, graphs, performance meter, and we have filters and control. Then we also have what we call tables of list, and also alerts or dashboard, alerts or notifications, sorry. So these are things that the key elements of. So when you want to design a dashboard, first of all, as a designer, your job is to balance data, clarity, and interactions, okay? And how do you do that in real time? So this is being done by, first of all, you have to sketch your layout first. Most of us overlook that particular process. We don't go into low fidelity. So wireframing before adding colors, all right? Decide what questions each rigid or cards answer. Don't just jump into designing a dashboard. What are the data that this particular design or this particular card you are designing, this particular pie chart, this particular chart you are putting up, or graphs that you are putting up answering? All right. So also, use dummy data, okay, when prototyping to see how layout works. Most of us, we like using lorem, so it is not advisable. So if you are designing for a SaaS product or a SaaS company, so what you are supposed to do there is um we have now it has come to where we now have AI. So generate content, or yes, content with the AI, and then see how it is going to work, and then test it using real data or dummy data, okay? So keep performance in mind, sorry. Dashboard that loads slowly are always frustrating. So when design, don't use your images, or your elements should not be too heavy, okay? And also avoid scroll heavy dashboards. So aim for one screen if possible. Most times when users scroll through, like scrolling on a dashboard, um it's usually frustrating. Zinap, I'm not sharing, okay? So it is just what is. So now we are going to go into a design, and that's why I do not want to do a slide for it, because I don't want to get ourselves too much distracted. The class was going to be a practical class. So okay, Griff, I said avoid scroll level dashboards. What I mean by that is, if it is possible to only design for one screen, like your entire dashboard is going to show when a user click it, the frame that we have 1440 by 1024. So that is fine. So that's what I mean by avoid heavy scroll or scroll heavy. So I hope you got that gift. All right, so let's jump into Figma. I believe you can see my Figma screen now. So we are going to create a new page for this. So I'll call this dashboard. So for a dashboard, we said the key elements are header, navigation, key metrics, data visualization, filter, control, stable, alert, and notification. So first of all, one of the mistakes that we designers do is we try to be heroes of a particular product. What do I mean by that? We try to be uh, we try to be original. Is that the word that she used? We try to do it by ourselves. Like we try to come up with how we want it to be. Already things like this has already been in existence. We have dashboards that has already been designed, that has already been designed by persons with much bigger experience, that have more experience than most of us that are just coming up. Okay. So I noticed that in one of the designs, they just concluded tasks we did. Most of us, we are just coming up with design by ourselves, where we place elements and the rest. There is nothing is stopping you from getting someone else's design and then working with that. As I think I've said this before, there is no new product on earth. Even if there is, like, someone is coming up with a new idea, something related to that has been done already, or someone has already, you can use other person's idea, or what someone else have done, the way you place the element, and then come up with your own. You don't just stay and then decide, oh yes, this is where I want to carry header, and then go to the where footer used to be, and then carry footer up. That is not how design is being done. Look at what others have done, get inspiration from them. Okay. I want to believe even someone, um like even a designer with 1,000 years, I will just over exaggerate here, 1,000 years of design experience will actually tell you this, that you don't just design like out of your, like, out of the box. Well, think out of the box, but do what I mean is, when designing, think of your, like, think, what are users used to? Okay, what do users, what have they seen that have already existed, that already exist already? Okay, without further ado, so I'm going to come up, I think, let me see, did I, so I'm going to bring a design that I looked into, that I downloaded. So this is what we'll try to not really duplicate, but this is what we'll try to use. Come in, I think this is not the one. uh, uh, Okay, so we'll be using this other one, but this is just to aid us, not like how the other navigation bar was looking like. Okay, so this is what we'll be looking at. First of all, looking at this element, we have seen our header. So I'm just going to, this is what we call header, this section. This is our header, okay? And we also have where we have our menu item. This is where we have our menu. And we can see a card here. Okay, so this card here is telling us, let me just move that. It's telling us, oh, yeah, this is a total employees that we have. These are the total job applicants that this company have. Oh, these are the total employees that have been accepted. So you can now see that this is actually um giving whosoever the company that is using this an information. And then looking at the down where we have employees, we now have where we have table, and the table is also solving a problem, telling the whosoever the admin, let's use the admin as a case study here. The admin, oh yes, these are your employees' name, this is the email, this is the role of the employee, this is the status of the employee, and what is the role of the employee? Oh, is the manager, is okay, who is managing, and then what team does the person um belong to, and which office is the person working under. So you can see we now have the filter where we said, oh yes, there's a filter option, and then we have the search, and then we have where we have this our graph, okay, which is what is the graph doing, team performance, team product team and project team, and then how much is being spent, oh, in the last 7 months or thereabout. Okay, so this is what this is solving. So we are going to use this as our case study for the design we'll be doing. So I'll just keep this side. So the frame we use for this is uh, desktop too. All right. So I'll always advise anytime you are doing a design, okay, anytime you are doing a design, and then you have a design side, there's a design you want to get an inspiration from. Make sure it is the same width as your design. I'm just going to edit this so as to get. All right. So this is not exactly, but we are going to, the height does not really matter here. So it's the width we care about. So your width, make sure your ratio is not locked. Your width is 1440. If you change it that way, it's going to scatter your work. So what do you do in this? You use what we call scale. Hold on. So we use what is called scale, and this you can see it and this you can see it on your where you have your move tool, and then you can also use letter K on your keyboard to reach that. So this is where you now change it, where we have this scale, not here. So I'll now change this to 1440. Then let's zoom out. So this will help you. Then you can go back by going remove that by going back to have your move tool. I want to believe most of us we know this already, as this is not the beginners class. Okay, so this is to help you as a designer match your elements and proportion in terms of proportion. All right. So first of all, we are going to now, what are the key elements? What is the first element of this design that we are going to work on? So I'm just going to call this dashboard. The first screen here is always dashboard. All right. So we are going to work on the header. Okay, let's work on the menu item for now. So let's start with the menu item. So on the menu item, what do we have? What do we have on this menu item? So if you look at, we have dashboard, we have employee, checklist, time off, attendance, payroll, recruitment. Then we now have a notification here that says, oh yes, you have this to attend. And then we now have the user profile. So we are just going to copy exactly what we have here. So first of all, when you want to start your design, let me bring back the toolbox. Okay. So when you are starting your design, the first thing you need is this particular um well, remember, we are still going to use our color since we already have that set up already in our design system. I'm going to be using what we applied because the responsiveness will also do it immediately. So this is a page and we are talking about, so this is what we are using for our surface page. Okay, so we are going to apply everything immediately as we proceed. Okay, so the first thing we need here is our menu item. So for the menu, we'll use text. So I'm just going to say menu, menu item. Okay, let me zoom in. We're just going to call this menu item. And on this, we are going to apply, and we'll be using, interesting, I didn't set this up. Okay, so we'll be using 14 for our menu item. Then I'm just going to put this in an auto layout. Then I will rename it to, let me forget about, okay, let's just rename it. So I'll rename this to menu. Okay, so the next thing I will do here is to bring in an icon. Okay, so just going to type home. Uh, okay, so when it comes to choosing icon style, I'm always picky. Okay, so I'm just going to get my icon from Iconify. So I'm going to just create a frame here for my icons. I'm going to search home. Okay, I'm going to bring in this. Let's see. So I'm going to carry this. So I'm just going to select multiple and then import as component. So let me just close this because I just want to use this for test running. So keep this, make this combine. Let's extend our. Okay, I just drop this here. So let's bring in. Uh, so let's bring in the home. So I'm just going to bring in this home here. Take it to our. So your icon size needs to be at least 16 or 20. Let's say 20. So it's going to be 20. Like 20. All right. So this is the first thing you do. We'll also change this to, this is going to take our, it's an icon. So we'll go down to where we have our icon. And this is going to be on action. And this is our text. So we'll go to where we have our text, and this is going to also be on action. All right. So after that, the next thing we do is, do we need an icon? Let's just make provision for that. So I'm just going to duplicate this for if there is a need for an icon, let's say an arrow icon to show, yes, there is a sub menu for this. So after this, what we do is we make this, make sure this is off, right? So we make this a component. All right. So after which we now make an instance. So we now have this to be the default. And the next one we'll be looking at is hovering state. The same thing we did for our button. So this will have active. Okay, so we are good to go. So for our active, we need a field, which should be the primary color. So what are we using? We are using this. So is a surface, and this is what we use. I prefer a rounded corner, so I'm just going to make this rounded. Let's see. Let's allow it. Round is not going to be that. Is that would be something like 8 for, let's see, 8. Yeah, 8 is perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to make this same thing 8. Okay, so after which the next thing we do is this is an hovering state. So hovering, we are going to use let's see, we are going to use a surface, but we are going to use a surface action light. That means our text will have to change. So our text is going to be on let's use this, and then our icon is also going to be, let's say, icon. What are we using for our icon? We use the same thing as we use for secondary. Yeah. Okay, then I think we are almost, so this is our default state, this is, and this is it. So the next thing we do is we are done with this. We'll keep on iterating if there's any need. So I'm just going to copy this out, just one of them. So I can just change this to make it 14. Let me just create this at once. Okay, so I'm going to create style. So we'll call this mm, label small. So this will apply our body. and this will apply regular, and this will apply label small. Okay, let's make this bold. Let's make this semi-bold. Is our active state. So I'm going to create another style. We'll call this so we'll call this still label small. Still our body, yes, this will carry regular. This will carry our label small. Label small. Okay, so we'll apply this to this. So just come here, carry, pick up label small. Hold on. I think I just made a mistake here. Label medium. I changed this. Okay, let's see. All right, so I'm going to create an instance of this. So I'm going to call it right icon. So this I'll call left icon. This I will also give it going to make it label. Yes, so I'm going to call this label. Okay, we are done with that. So we are going to just put this in an auto layout and duplicate. Interesting. Okay, another thing we have to do is this has to be not center aligned but left alignment. Because if we make it center alignment and then a text becomes smaller, it's going to shift just as we see here. So this has to be left aligned. So we'll make this left aligned. In most cases, we can just okay, we can just make it split out since we'll be using if we need this too. All right, in this case, I'm just going to off the left. Oh, I didn't make that component. So I'm just going to highlight this and then I'm going to, for appearance, hold on. So for appearance, I'm going to add show menu. Okay, I'm not going to use this variable. Would have applied variable here, but no. So let's say show layer. So show, this is our right icon. And think our left icon will always show. So, all right. So I'm just going to off our right icon for this. So this is happening because I'm just going to off it and this will all be default. All right, so what do we need for this? Let me bring it down here so that we can just pick it up. So this is dashboard. Do we employee checklist, right? Checklist. Time off, attendance, payroll, and we need recruitment. Okay, so we had done this is we preparing our menu item. So for menu item, we are going to Etsy. We'll call this 200. If we take a look at this, let's see. Well, there isn't 256, but I think 200 is the perfect height for this. And you can see this has filled in the container. If we drag this, is which is the best practice to be done, right? So let's say let's use 250 for this. Okay, so we are moving. One way people do this is they usually what they do is they usually bring in and like they just bring in an empty state of this. Okay, so they can now say fill. So what this is one way people do this, they just remove it, and then if I duplicate this, and then it will now give those room. But well, I say it's I don't like using this method. Okay, so a method I like using is I like let's say I'll put all of them in a different frame, okay, inside of the frame. So this is a method I use such that I can now this will take another um yes, another auto layout of a zone that I can also change it without affecting this, because with this, if I'm doing this, let's say I'm using 16 here, it's going to affect everything that is inside here because it is adaptive. All right, so but that is not what I want. So that's not what I want. I want to have a different section here that has a different element. Okay, so I'm just going to take this back down here. Then I'm going to now create a card of this. So we now have a card here that says daily daily meeting. This should be this. All right. So our label is going to be label large. Sorry, label medium. Let's use this. That's still not my standard. Okay. Then I'm just going to duplicate this or yes, turn it into an auto layout. I like using auto layout in everything I do, so I'm just going to call this text. And then I'm going to duplicate this, then use the vertical and then change the 930, sorry, 930 to 1030. All right, so let's just use exactly what we have here on Zoom. So I'm going to change this to left alignment. Then I'm going to bring in our button. I think we should have button in this asset, do we? No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. Interesting. Okay, so just going to create the button here. Button. Button. Just going to turn into another layer. Just I'm going to work on it. Going to come back to it later on. So I'll just keep this here. Then attach it to here. But I'm going to give it a different. It's going to carry its own auto layout because I want it to be different from others. So let's use this. So our field, oh, this is selected. So this is our text. So our text is on action. Then our field is action. I need this to be as rounded as possible. Then I'll give it a breathing room. That's too much. It's fine. Okay, so okay, the next thing we need is an avatar. So I'm going to use from where we have here avatar. So I'm going to use from here. Okay, so this is going to have its own. So this should be probably, let's make it 16. So I'm going to put this in an auto layout, make it vertical, then duplicate the inside. Now I want to actually lap this. One way we always do this is by moving this. Since it's an auto layout, is simple. Well, it can be done well, but I don't like using it that way. I will just come here and then this will do the work for us. So this does the work. Okay, yes. I think that features has been. So we'll do it manually. Well, -8 to maintain. So I'm just going to uh, change my. Let's see. Let's change our avatar images. While we're waiting for this to load, I think we are almost done with the card. So this has to be fuel container. This is okay, being hawk. If you want to make it fuel container, you can just add an auto layout to it and then make the auto layout fuel container. You will see the reason for that. Okay, so let's change this image. What do I need? Man. So wait for it to load. As it, yes, it does. But that's is not where I selected it. It has gone. So this is where it should be. So I'm just going to remove that. So you make sure that you select where the image is. And I'm going to pick a different one and then pick for a different one. Oh, same thing. Okay, so there we are. So think I'm just going to change which one should be on top. So I need the first one to be on top. Nope, excluded, no, included. Let's see which is better. Okay, let's use this. So we are done with this, and this is fuel. This should also be fuel container, which is it adapting to? This should be fuel container. This should also be fuel container. Then the whole system should also be fuel container. Let's see. So I'm going to copy this. Yes, let me make it a component. So I'm just going to copy this out. Then I'm going to paste here to replace. And then I'll make this fuel container. So that has done the work. All right, so I'm going to take this two out of here and then drop it somewhere. Any question? Okay, so let's proceed. So this I'm going to, what else do we need? We need a profile. Okay, so I'm just going to copy, I need this avatar. I'm just going to copy it out. I need just one. So um we need to create a profile for this. So we are going to go to where we have the profile to see how it is being done. All right, so they have a card inside with an arrow, then the name and the email, then they have the user. So the user here is going to be at least 24. I was going to remove that. So we need this 24. Right, no, that's still 40 is fine. Okay, it's the card we are designing for. So just going to see how it's being done. I like using auto layouts in everything I do. So I'll just make it an auto layout, then bring in a text from here that has already been used to save time, then put it in the auto layout. So this is going to adapt. Then I'm going to bring in an arrow. While you wait for that, so I'm just going to change this to a name. Um, so I'm going to call this John Deere. Okay, so my bad. I'm going to duplicate. Let's give it a room. I'm just going to duplicate this once more. My bad. So I'm going to duplicate this once more to make it, then put the two of them, these two names, in an auto layout so that I can manipulate how it works. This is okay. I'm just going to remove it and then make this I was going to change it to undo at company.com. I'm going to reduce the font to small. I'm just going to touch this because I don't think, yeah, going to apply it directly from here to small. All right, so the spacing between these should at least have breathing room. So I'll be using 16 for that. Think that's all we need here. Okay, we need an arrow. Where is the arrow? So we need a drop down. I'm just going to pick this out. Drop it here so that I maintain. Then I'm going to make this a component, call this card, then take it down here. Did I copy? No. Then this should be fuel container. So we didn't make most of these things fuel container. That's why we're having abstract. So I'm just going to make this. This should be, yes, let's make it fuel container. So the fuel container, fuel, that should adapt itself to this card here. All right, so there we go. So I'm just going to change our icon to only created in this, and that will be icon site on active. All right, so there we are. So that has been done. So the reason why we are having this is because the email is too big. So in terms of this, what you do is I told you it is we can last class when we were looking at the copy UX writing. So I told you it is advisable to truncate. So when you truncate, how do users know that something was supposed to be there? So when truncating, truncate with, what I mean by that is to abbreviate, so you can just use a 3 dots here. So that is what shows you that, oh yes, that there's a continuation of this at the other end. All right. I hope we are following. So after we've gotten the elements we want here, so the next thing we do is this is supposed to be an active state. So I'm just going to call this active. All right. So let's see. What is the height of this? No, that's too small. So we are going to give it 16. 16 is fine. 16 yeah, 12 is okay. So I'm just going to adapt this to this too. So so that will appear in this too. So you see the advantage of making your work a component. So we can easily. So the next thing you do here is take this. Yeah, we are done with what we want for our menu item. So we are going to rename this to a menu item. So all right, so I'm going to make this a component. So that is a component now. And the next thing I want to do is I want an instance of this component, which I'm going to create an instance of the component, but I will take it to the left. Okay, so we're going to drag this for me. For now, I'll put this in a frame. Like this. Not group. Nope. Okay, so I'm going to make an instance of this, but I hope yes. So instance for first of all, what is there? Let's see. Okay, so he's telling me he wants to go down. And this is where I need to drag. I'll just take this up. Prefer a side by side arrangement. Okay, so what I need here is I'm going to show us how to do this without the variables and also how to do it with a variable. I think time is not on our side, but we'll manage that. So what I will do here is I will not touch anything here. Okay. So I'll go back to where we have our components, our a menu item component. So here I want to do for a tablet mode too. So here I'm just going to get this and then duplicate. Yeah. So I'm just going to duplicate this. So what happened here is I'm going to give this a property. So this will be for our, this is going to be for our tablet. But let's move that for now. Let's see. Okay, so this, we are going to remove this. We only want the icon here. So this is what we are going to do. Here we are going to turn it to 0. I don't like deleting. I'm going to turn it to 0, and this we are going to delete. I don't think we need this. Okay, so I think we need to, let's just delete it so it will. Now over here, this is the right way it should do. Yes, it should center align, but I'm going to use a direct center align because we don't need this, nothing like any text here. All right, and here is going to be hawk. Make sure your height is always fixed. This is because your icon can change and your icon size can change and the likes of it. So we are going to use 44, and it is fixed and not hawk or whatsoever. So nothing that comes in here will actually shift, but this is always hawk. Any item can come and then change how our item looks. We didn't change that, so this is hawk item. All right, then the next thing we do here is okay, I think that's basically it. So we can just copy here. Let's forget about the naming convention for now. Or we don't need to copy, we can just come here and then select all and then change it to 4 is for our active. So we're going to select this and then change it to, for me, 6, right? Yes. And then this as, okay, this can be filled too. Then this will now make it our active, which is 4. So over here is, there is no need to show this particular section here. So this particular section, we can hide it. And this can only be just the avatar state. Okay, we can hide this. And then over here, we'll just hide this section. And then we have, yes, and then we'll have this. So the next thing that will be done is we manually shift this. This has to also be center aligned. This has to be hog, so it will be center aligned. So this is how it is being done. That is if we want to use the manual way of how we, so what do we do here? I think 75 for the width is okay here. 16, 16, this is fine. Any question? Any question? I think our time is up. We'll continue from here in our next class, which will complete the dashboard design, and then we'll also look at the best way to actually do this process instead of going the traditional way. All right. So in our next class, we'll complete the design. So also go and practice how to run through this. Okay. how to design your dashboard. We'll complete this design next class. So that will be all.